Hi all, this is Once and Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Last time was a fun romp through Hoenn as I took on Pokemon Emerald with just a single Tropius. Today though, the gears get kicked up a notch as we head to Gen 7 and answer the question of if I can beat Pokemon Ultra Sun with just a single Komala. Komala then, we are a mono normal type with a surprisingly high base stat total, going for a quite respectable 480. Our stats are respectable with a massive 115 attack stat, a 95 special defense, and even 75 in special attack. HP, defense and speed aren't too shabby either. Just to put this into perspective, 480 base stat total is the same as Victreebel, Vileplume, Octillery, Frostlass and Explode, amongst others. We are mono normal type, so weak to fighting and immune to Ghost. Via level up, we don't get a fantastic amount of useful moves, at least not early on. Most of these moves are either weak, like Rapid Spin before it got buffed, or inaccurate, like Slam has been since 1996. Wood Hammer is a randomly useful potential coverage move, but even then, recoil damage could be annoying. Via TM, we do get some useful moves like Work Up and Bulk Up, Earthquake, Return, Brick Break, Low Sweep, Acrobatics, Shadow Claw, Swords Dance, Rock Slide and U-Turn, so there's definitely stuff I can work with there. This challenge was suggested by Micah French. As always, if you have any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. I think the challenge might well be that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are hard games to solo given my previous experience. There are some rough battles ahead. Early game might be tough until we get some coverage moves. As always folks, if you do enjoy what you see then like, subscribe and ring that bell. Let's get this on. I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Rowlet with Komala so that I can do the whole run with it. I chose to replace Rowlet so that our rival will take Popplio. I think Primarina will probably be the hardest for us to fight. Not much in it really, I'll get this out of the way before we start. We have an interesting ability in Comatose, which basically treats us as if we're asleep for the whole run, and we are immune to non-volatile status conditions like paralysis or poison. Granted, we do take double damage from Wake Up Slap, but that's pretty niche. We would take double damage from Hex as well, but we are immune to Ghost. Yeah, so I nicknamed my Komala Apple because of the apple that puts Snow White to sleep. It's not a fantastic nickname, but what are you going to do? We have the rash nature, so more special attack and less special defense, and the aforementioned Comatose as an ability. I'm not entirely happy with that nature, but it is what it is. Sometime ahead, and I mean it, there are a lot of cutscenes to get through. We have a battle with How and his Popplio. I didn't do much training ahead of this because I wrongly believed that super training was a thing in this generation as well as in Gen 6. Spoiler alert, it isn't! Anyway, we go for Rollout and it takes 3 turns of the move to bring down Popplio, but that isn't entirely a lot. We don't really end up in much danger in the process. As we save Nebby from the Spearow, I know we have another rival fight ahead shortly, and then after we've gone through the trainer school, the next real battle will be the one with Trail Captain Alima, where he has that annoying Smeargle, but we'll get to that before long, no doubt. I'm also going to catch a Meowth Pickup Brigade too. At the festival, we have another battle with How, and this time he's added a Pichu to his team, which is going to cause a slight problem in one sense. We don't have to worry about paralysis, which is nice. Our first rollout hits Pichu while we get hit with Tail Whip, but our second one misses and then we get hit with Charm, which lowers our attack drastically. That is the annoying part I was thinking about. We drop Pichu with 2 more turns on rollout, one of them being a crit, but we get hit with another Charm. Popplio comes in, it doesn't really attack us beyond using Growl twice, our poor attack stat, but a flurry of our rollouts, turns 3, 4 and 5 are enough to bring it down for the count and we can move on. Time to battle Alima then. I know I had a slight issue with him when I did the Growlithe run in this game, but I don't think that's going to be a problem here. Fingers crossed. He begins with Yungoos. For some reason, I start going for stockpile attacks because I'm moderately worried about being hit hard. Unfortunately, he keeps spamming Leah, even after the second turn when I go into rollout. It's weird rollout being our only proper attacking move at the moment. 2 rollouts put it on yellow health, and even as Lima tries to heal it, it doesn't do him any good as the third rollout sparks Yungoos out. Smeargle is second, it does outspeed and hit tackle, but our 4th rollout takes it out pretty quickly to give us a win. We have the Totem Den up shortly, and that shouldn't be too bad, plus a rival battle, which again, not too concerned about, but I know we have the Hala battle after that, and I feel like that is going to be a huge stumbling point, but we'll see. Anyway, the Totem battle. These are harder than you would think in single runs, as I found out due to the stat buffs they get at the start. Anyway, we watch Gumshoe's defense rise, and then I use Yawn on it so that we can make it go to sleep. It summons help, plus hits us with Scary Face a few times, which not helpful. I use a workup to boost our attack, and then when Gumshoes falls asleep, I smack the assisting Yungoos with Brick Break to take it down, since we get that TM early. Another Brick Break then drops Gumshoes to take it down for the count and give us a win. Also, really fun fact, on my way out of the Totem Den I caught a shiny Noibat. Can't use it, but hey, it's a fun little thing that I did right here. Always nice to find a full odd shiny. After much travelling in which we have to rescue Nebby again and fight the Ultra Recon Squad, there's a battle with How to contend with, and he begins with Poplio. I go for workup a few times to begin the battle, but get hit with Growl and Water Gun while we're powering up. The former a bit more annoying than the latter. We also get hit with 2 rounds of Baby Doll Eyes, which aggravating, before finally we take Poplio out with 2 Brick Breaks. Noibat is second. We go into rollout and hit massive damage. 2 rounds of rollout do take it out, but we get confused by Supersonic in the process. We fight through confusion a second time to smash the 3rd rollout into Pikachu and take it down to give us a win. I make some tries on Hala at level 19, and we run into something of a brick wall straight away as his Machop hits us really hard. At this level it is more than capable of 2 hitting us with Revenge, which somewhat concerning. Yawn takes 2 turns to work, which is originally what I was planning on doing. Put Machop to sleep and then spam Workup to make sure we hit as hard as possible, because I'm all too aware Crabrawler has a Z move and that would end us for sure. I even try some efforts with a berry to survive the second Revenge, but it's not enough, and so I go off to train. I come back at level 23, and this is where a whole different problem emerges, as I have to change my strategy. I can get Machop to go to sleep, but at this point Hala begins to spam full heals on his Pokemon, which again a bit annoying for sure. On the winning run, Machop goes to focus energy first turn while we Yawn and then work up on the second turn. Hala goes for his full heal and a Revenge while we go for a second and third work up, eating a berry to gain some health back. We then smash a Brick Break to bring Machop down and put us into the battle with Crabrawler. On some efforts it did survive Brick Break, but on this one it does not. Makahita does hit a Fake Out, but we have enough health left to survive it, and we duly smash that with a Brick Break for a victory to give us a win, and we can move on. We've got some travelling to do before the next major fight of the game, and we have got a whole different island to head to. But after travelling across that island, searching far and wide, we make it to Paniola Ranch, and that is where we have another fight with How. He begins with Brion, who we work up versus while getting hit with Aqua Jet. We go into rollout and start to rev up, getting hit with a disarming voice, but our second rollout brings it down. Pikachu hits quick attack, but we one hit that with a rollout to take it out of the fight. Noibat also gets smashed with rollout for the knockout before Eevee is last. It out-prioritises us with Baby Doll Eyes, but our rollout takes it down for the count. Not too much time later then, there's an introduction of a new character, and we immediately have to fight said character in Gladion, and this one always kind of takes me by surprise when I'm playing through the game. I still don't have as much familiarity with this game as others in the series. He begins with Zubat and we work up while being hit with Feint Attack. I don't think that's a Zubat. We smash into it with Rollout and hurt Zorua badly, forcing the illusion to fade while being hit with another Feint Attack. Our second Rollout takes Zorua down for the count, before the third Rollout absolutely decimates the real Zubat when it emerges onto the field. Our fourth Rollout then wrecks Type Null and gives us a win over him, letting us move on to the next bit of the game. We have Lana's trial pretty much directly after that, which means we've got the totem Araquanid to deal with. Good thing I've got Rollout, right? That's going to make things so much easier. In the first exchange, we go for Yawn on Araquanid, while it hits us with a rain boosted bubble and summons a Dewpider. In the next turn, we go into Rollout and smash into Dewpider with the move to build momentum, taking it down. We get hit with another bubble, but Araquanid falls to sleep after surviving the second Rollout. It summons Masquerain and that intimidates us, but the third Rollout smashes into Masquerain and brings it down, turning our attention back to Araquanid. Our fourth Rollout smashes into it and brings it down, giving us the victory in the trial. While I am doing the Royal Avenue, let's do some Komala trivia, since I think this is going to be a long old run. It is the only Pokemon to have Comatose as an ability. According to the Pokemon Sun Pokédex, it is born asleep and it dies asleep. All its movements are apparently no more than the results of it moving in its dreams. According to the Moon Pokédex, it is given the log it holds by its parents at birth, but it may cling to the arm of a friendly trainer instead. The Ultra Moon Pokédex states that the reason it constantly sleeps is due to the sedative properties of the leaves that form its diet, though the Scarlet Pokédex states that leaves are outright poisonous instead, and only Komala can break them down. The Violet Pokédex states that an anaesthetic can be made from diluting its drool, a drug so potent it was used for surgery in the past. It shares its category name with Mashana. They are both known as the Drowsing Pokemon. It appears to be based on a koala bear, and its name may be a combination of Coma and Koala. We have the Fire Trial after that and the battle with the totem Marowak, and this turns out to actually be pretty bad for a couple of reasons. So the only move we have that can really hurt it, really, is Rollout, which is super effective. However, a few things. First of all, the Marowak has Brick Break, which does huge damage to us. Second of all, it has Cursed Body, so if that triggers on Rollout, we are doomed. And third, it has Detect, so it can also block Rollout that way as we're trying to build up momentum. We can hurt it, but when it summons Salazzle, we're very quickly overwhelmed at level 28 repeatedly, and so I have no other choice but to retreat and start training up. I guess I need to be able to brute force it, since we can't get any TMs that are better than what we have in our current moveset, and I just feel like I'm out of other ideas at the moment. That is the case until we hit level 31 and I realise that we learn Sucker Punch, which is a bit of a game changer since it does decent damage and will be super effective. Plus, it's not dependent on building up power like Rollout. I still lose a few efforts due to Cursed Body triggering, but on the winning effort, we strike Sucker Punch and get countered with Brick Break before the Marowak summons Salazzle. Detect blocks the Sucker Punch and we get hit with a Flame Burst, but on the next turn, we connect with Sucker Punch to bring Marowak down. Salazzle wastes a turn trying to poison us, and I'm glad she did, because if she had attacked, we'd have probably lost, as we can't one-hit her with Rollout, and we get hit with Flame Burst in retaliation. But round 2 of Rollout brings her down. As we move on, we've got Mallow's trial ahead. I'm pretty sure there's a fight with Plumeria before we do the Kahuna battle. I remember Olivia was pretty bad when I did this challenge with Growlithe last year, but I'm not sure we'll have the same issues now. I think Plumeria might be harder than Olivia if I'm honest, believe it or not. The grass trial takes a few efforts. We can't quite do enough damage and we very quickly get overwhelmed at level 32, so I realise that this isn't going to work. This is part of why this game is quite hard to run single Pokemon challenges in, because we're being double teamed basically, we're being fought 2-on-1. Now, having an extra Pokemon in the party wouldn't necessarily help with that, but it would give me a backup option. But with that in mind, our only option then is to get stronger. I have to train up to level 36 and then make my way back and face off with the totem Lurantis. Again, it's a case of how we don't have a fantastic way of damaging it. On the winning run, we yawn the Lurantis but still get hit with Solar Blade. It summons Kecleon and starts to charge up Solar Blade before falling asleep. We drop Kecleon with Brick Break. We land 2 turns of rollout before Lurantis wakes up, summons Comfey and uses Synthesis. Our third rollout does big damage but not fatal damage as Comfey uses Flower Shield. Lurantis tries to charge up Solar Blade, but our fourth rollout flattens it before we hit Comfey with the fifth rollout to take that out as well. After story stuff, we have that face off with Plumeria and we lose a few thanks to her Golbat being faster and confusing us. And again, other than rollout, not a fantastic way of damaging it. But anyway, eventually we do get a fortuitous run on her. Golbat does hit Confuse Ray on the first turn and that could be problematic, but we managed to land 2 turns of rollout to bring it down, despite also getting clumped with Wing Attack. We outspeed Salandit and hit rollout 3 to bring that down in a single hit, and we can move on to face the Kahuna. The Olivia fight then, and it will be nice doing this while not weak to Rock type, given the last 2 runs I've had in these games. The Growlithe run, and I also did a team playthrough with bird Pokemon that probably isn't up yet but might well be in the near future. She begins with Anorith and we hit a Brick Break for massive damage but get hit with Bug Bite in retaliation. I know she's going to heal, so I'm going to roll out on the next turn, and we managed to burn through 2 turns of that before bringing Anorith down and setting up the fight with Lileep. Lileep survives rollout 3 and hits Giga Drain before we smash into that with the 4th rollout, and that does take it down for the count. We face off with Lycanroc last, and rollout 5 just absolutely wrecks it hard without it getting a chance to use its Z move. And just like that, we're done with the second island. After the Aether Paradise stuff, we have a How battle when we get to the next island. Winning this isn't mandatory to completing the story. I'm all too aware of this because I lost it in the previous run too. He begins with Brion, and in lieu of another move, we hit a Brick Break for decent damage, but get nailed with its Z move, which wipes out nearly half our health. So, not entirely helpful. A second Brick Break brings it down though, leaving us to face Raichu, who is faster and hits Electro Ball before we can drop it with Bulldoze. We outspeed Flareon and one-hit that with Bulldoze before we face Tauros. We are intimidated, we are slower, and despite us hitting a Brick Break for decent damage, it lands 2 Horn attacks that take us down, unfortunately. There's the Electric Trial up ahead, plus a Guzma fight not too long after that. Then there will be the Ghost Trial soon after that, and both of these trials have the potential to be really, really rough. There will be Potown after that and another Guzma fight, but we're not too far away from the end of the island otherwise. Can't remember if there's another trial on this island after that, but I think there's another Gladion fight, and yeah, there'll also be the Nanu fight somewhere. I make several tries on Sophocles' trial and the totem Togedemaru, and once again this is something that sets up grinding to a halt as it has the spiky shield which stops us dead, plus defense buffs at the start of the fight which make our Bulldoze do less damage. Plus Skarmory, likes to set up Tailwind to make it faster, and it has moves that can flinch us. I make several tries at level 42 and it doesn't work out well, prompting me to go on the grinding trail once again. I come back at level 49, and though our first bulldoze fails thanks to a spiky shield, we yawn Skarmory before it sets up Tailwind, and Togedemaru hits a Zing Zap. We lose health to a crit Iron Head, but we do pretty good damage with bulldoze. Togedemaru would be a 2-hit knockout but for the berry, and Skarmory hits Torment before falling asleep, which means we can't just spam the same move over and over again. We flinch to Zing Zap while trying to Brick Break Skarmory, managing to do so at the second attempt while also being hit with Iron Head. Skarmory wakes up and lands some moves before the Tailwind fades, and this is going so badly I think we'll lose, but we manage to crit Bulldoze on Togedemaru and take the knockout before facing Skarmory. It resets Tailwind, we trade blows, landing a Brick Break and a Rollout to bring the Metal Bird down and give us a win. We have the Guzma fight up next in Melee Park, and I have the perfect move for this with Rollout, since he's a bug type specialist. He begins with Golisopod, and it has that first impression move, which is somewhat problematic, but at least it doesn't flinch us like Fake Out, which I thought for some reason. We land 2 rollouts to put it in red health, getting hit with Sucker Punch in the process, but Golisopod escapes the Masquerain to come into the fight and intimidate us. Our third rollout crashes into Masquerain and we take it out in a single hit, prompting the return of Golisopod to the fight. We get hit with another first impression, but Rollout hits it hard and takes it out of the fight to give us the win. We have Acerola's trial next, and this also was pretty horrible when I did the Growlithe challenge. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing her name right, I'll probably alternate between pronunciations throughout the video. I'm sure we had to be like mid-60s level wise to get the win in that previous run. We do lose a first attempt at this trial thanks to being crit by the totem Mimikyu, which really not helpful. We use Bulldoze to break the disguise and lower its speed, though the Play Rough attack we do get hit with does lower our attack, which unhelpful again. It summons Bayonet, we land Shadow Claw on Mimikyu for about a third of its health while we get hit with Play Rough and Feint Attack to really hurt us. Thankfully, we crit Shadow Claw on the next turn and that takes Mimikyu down to my massive relief, and we can shrug off Bayonet's attack and drop that with a Shadow Claw as well to give us a victory in this trial. There's another Plumeria fight straight after, and this one is a lot smoother than the previous one, thanks to the fact that Golbat never tries to confuse us, simply going for 2 wing attacks, which very pleasant of it. We can build up 2 hits of Rollout very quickly, smash into it twice and that takes it down, giving us a battle with Salazzle who hits Flamethrower, but we can take her down with our third Rollout to give us the victory, and with that we are off to Po Town. As I go through Po Town, I might as well talk about what's ongoing with the channel. The Eternal Darkness playthrough came to an end, highly recommended as a game if you don't have any experience of it. I was uploading a playthrough of the story mode of Injustice 1, although the twist with that one was that there was no commentary. I will probably do Injustice 2 at some point. I've pretty much tried to put it off since it came out, but I will probably try and make an effort of playing and finishing Resident Evil 7 at some point. I've made a couple of attempts in the past to try and get through this and failed miserably every time. I do want to do some more Legend of Zelda 2. Just a choice between Majora's Mask, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, or maybe one of the handheld ones, the Oracle games, which I really loved as a kid, or Minish Cap, which I loved as a teenager. I do own Breath of the Wild, but never really played it beyond a few hours. I don't plan to do it on the channel. I think it's moved way too far from what I believe The Legend of Zelda to be. That's my opinion. It's probably not a popular opinion, it might not be a shared one. But yeah, be they with commentary or not, I do have a few ideas for some playthroughs this year. Did start playing Crash Bandicoot 4 and recording some of it. The caveat is, I started playing it and really badly. It's painful to watch, really. so I don't know if that footage will ever see the light of day. It might do, purely for the amusement factor. I'm sure somebody will watch it and get a kick out of me playing this game really badly. Pokemon wise, I uploaded the Sword and Shield Ultimate with Monkey's Run. I am actually going to be editing an Ultra Moon run at some point around the time you hear this, as I did it with birds. I also started doing Blazing Emerald with regional forms. Challenge wise, I mentioned it on the last video, I'm going to do a dual Pokemon run on the next one. I'm going to head to Fire Red and I'm going to see if I can beat it with a duo of Swablu and Spearow. I know I mentioned that there might be some Master Showdown this year, but there's not been any discussions about it so far. There is a Guzma fight ahead, and it's time to get stuck up in with him. He talks a big game, but he sure doesn't intimidate me. He begins with Golisopod, and we get smacked with a first impression while we go for a workup. We outspeed on the next turn and land a Rock Slide on his Pokemon that drops it into red health and prompts it to flee. Pinsir comes in. We smack it with a Rock Slide and drop it like a stone to put us into the fight with Masquerain, who intimidates us, but we still drop it with Rock Slide. Golisopod does hit a Sucker Punch, but we strike Rock Slide to take it out. We have to fight Gladion pretty much straight after in terms of the story, and this is always without warning, which I kinda believe is the way Pokemon should be. Oh well. He begins with what looks like Golbat. We go for Workup, but we get hit with 2 Acrobatics before we drop it with Rock Slide, and I guess that was the real Golbat then. Type Null comes out and hits us with Hyper Voice before we land a crit Rock Slide to bring it down, and it turns out it was Zoroark. When the real Type Null comes out, we hit a Rock Slide for half its health and get a flinch on it before taking it down with a second Rock Slide. We were pretty weak come the end, so this worked out. We lose the first attempt to Nanu at level 54, as we are slower than both Krokorok and Persian. The former lands an Earthquake for massive damage, and it wasn't even a crit, and the Persian is just faster than us and takes us out from a weakened state with its Z move. I train up to level 58 and then make another stab on him. We have Workup ready to go, and we go for 2 of them versus Sableye. It is important because Krokorok has Intimidate and I want to hit it suitably hard. We do get hit with a few Power Gem attacks before we do drop Sableye with a Rock Slide. This time we outspeed Krokorok and take it out with Brick Break before facing Persian. Persian hits Fake Out and its Z move for big damage, but we survive and smash it down with a Brick Break to let us move on. We have the Aether Paradise to fight through next, and there is a fight with Guzma before we can get to Luzamine. We do lose a first attempt thanks to the missing of moves, but eventually we get Fortune. Golisopod is out first and we go for Yawn while getting hit with First Impression. On the next turn we work up and his Sucker Punch fails before he falls asleep. I work up twice more just to be sure and to let our health recover before finally we smash Return to drop Golisopod. Pinsir hits Storm Throw for massive damage, but we drop it with Return. Masquerain intimidates, but we drop it with Return for a knockout, and then Vikavolt at the end doesn't do any better. I'm not worried about being outsped by it, and we take it down with Return. You might be able to guess it was Rock Slide that missed on the first attempt, hence my use of Return. The Luzamine fight is a weird one. Like that earlier How fight, we don't have to win to progress, which is just as well. Clefable is a problem because it has Charm, and while it doesn't always use it, Moonblast hits us hard. And we do need to power up because Beware is always out second. I don't have Brick Break anymore, and so we need to be strong enough to drop it with Return. By the time we fought through Clefable and Beware and built up our attack, Lilligant can just come in and simply finish us off with Petal Dance. So we take the loss there, but since we don't need to win, it's not an issue. I'm at the final island then. There is the Executor Island Trial, there's the Totem Como-O, there's the general Necrozma stuff, which is always going to be pretty unpleasant. I wonder what sort of level I'll need to beat Ultra Necrozma. In the Growlithe run, I needed to be level 100 and some pretty uncanny double team luck. I'll also do this while I'm here. So, you know how I do YouTube searches to see if anyone else has done the challenge I'm currently doing? I did searches for Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon to see if anyone has ever tried to beat those games with a single Komala, and yet I couldn't find a single one. World first? That may well be the case. It isn't long before, to continue the story, we need to pass the Dragon Trial, and well, this goes bad. We have to fight a Komala with an Omni Boost, and given it is both part fighting type and has that stab drain punch move for health recovery, this is a massive issue. We are slower as well, so we are getting hit first every single time. I fail several times at level 68, trying acrobatics, even trying using the flying Z crystal, but it's not really working. I come back at level 74, but we are still slower and we can still slowly get whittled down. Return does over half, but by the time we've been hit with Drain Punch and we're still getting outsped, it's not like we can do much with it. I figured a brutal set of levelling was ahead, not just for this, but there's also the Ultra Necrozma fight ahead, which has the potential to be even worse. I train away and come back at level 79. The good news is that we are now faster. We can do over half Komala's health with Return, though we do lose half our health just under to Drain Punch, which means the dragon probably won't be a 2-hit now. Noivern comes in, we hit Rock Slide that takes Noivern down, and we also get the flinch on Komala, which, that's something. It is a resisted hit, but we're stalling. Scizor is then summoned, and we go for another Rock Slide, and we flinch Komala again, but Scizor fights through to hit X-Scizor. We take Scizor out with another Rock Slide, and we flinch Komala for the third turn in a row before dropping that with a Return to give us the win. That was statistically unlikely, but oh well, I'll take it. We do have a battle ahead with regular Necrozma, and I didn't set my moves up entirely well for fighting it in this form, but I can only do what I can do. We hit a Return, and it does about a quarter before we start getting hit with attacks and retaliation. I change up to Brick Break, and we can soon hammer our way through its health to give us a knockout on the fused Pokemon. That's the warm-up though, let's be honest, because we all know what's going to come next, and it isn't gonna be pleasant. I remember just how horrible this was the last time I did an Ultra Sun run. In fairness, it wasn't entirely pleasant when I did that in Ultra Moon with Bird Pokemon run recently, but that's a story for another video. The short version of this story is that at level 79 we have no chance. We are very quickly 2-hit, and I try a combination of varieties to see if it can be done. The Ultra Necrozma just shrugs off our Z move, using the super effective bug move U-turn doesn't really do a lot of damage either. I make some tries at level 85, thankfully no more grinding because we'd maxed out our rare candy stocks, and at this level we are still slower and we're still a 2-hit knockout from Ultra Necrozma. So, unless we get particularly lucky with a crit, we're getting wiped very quickly, and I don't think we're going to be that lucky. Again, our Z move only does about 2/3 of its health. At level 90, we are still slower, but we are getting closer to being able to one-hit it with our Z move. That lack of outspeeding is still being killer though. At level 95, we are still slower, but Photon Gazer finally does less than half our health, so we've grown strong enough that we can survive 2 hits from the Ultra Necrozma, and thus we inflict massive damage with our normal type Z move, and then we finish it off with Return. We got hurt badly doing it, but that's not the point. We knock it out cold for the win. I have to run Mina's Trial Gauntlet next and assemble the Flower Reef or whatever it is. That begins a battle with the Trial Captain herself. I didn't set up entirely well to fight this battle, and we begin versus Mawile. We are intimidated right at the start, and we do lose some attack to Play Rough too, but we can 2-hit that with Return, which is something at least. Gramble also intimidates us, but doesn't affect our ability to hurt it, and we can still 2-hit it with Return. Ribombee at the end goes down to a Rock Slide, and that lets us move on. I have another fight with Alima next, and I'm pretty ready for him. I've switched the move setup and we go into battle. I put Brick Break back on Apple, and that gets us through the fight pretty easily. Gumshoes goes down to a Brick Break, and so in the next round there's Alima's own Komala. Smeargle at the end does land extreme speed, but we shrug it off and Brick Break for the knockout. We're back at the lush jungle for the next battle, and we have a face-off with Mallow here. She begins with Trevenant, and I don't have much to deal with that beyond Rock Slide. That's a 2-hit to take it out, but we do get hit with Leech Seed. We can take out her other 2 Pokemon, Sarina and Shiinotic, with Return though, so that Leech Seed never really gets the chance to take hold of our health bar. Could have been tricky, but we're that over-leveled after the Ultra Necrozma fight that these shouldn't be tricky. Kiawe is next. Struggles against the Totem Marowak seems so long ago, but we made it past that and here we are. He begins with Arcanine and we are intimidated to lose attack, but we take it down with a Rock Slide to 1-hit the legendary Doggo. Before Talonflame is next and we also Rock Slide that down for a 1-hit takedown. Last is Alolan Marowak. Again, Rock Slide does the job and we've got the victory. While we are here, it's not an entirely one-sided fight as Kiawe's friend, David the Hiker, decides to get in on the action and sets his Magmar on us, but that's not really an issue. I have a battle with Sophocles next, and I've put Bulldoze back on Apple for this fight, since he has some Pokemon quad weak to ground. We start the fight against one of them in Togedemaru and drop it with Bulldoze. Alolan Golem is second, but it survives our Bulldoze thanks to the most hated ability ever in Sturdy. We get nailed with a crit Stone Edge before finishing Golem with Brick Break. Last is Magnezone and we drop it with a Bulldoze for the win, and I think that's the last battle of the gauntlet since Nanu doesn't fight us in this game. All that remains is the battle with the Totem Ribombee, and we're soon underway in this fight. We watch as its stats rise sharply before it outspeeds us and hits a Bug Buzz. We soon strike back with a Rock Slide for massive damage though. It summons Blissey to help, and Blissey uses Helping Hand to power up Ribombee's Bug Buzz before we drop another Rock Slide on both of them to take them both out as a dangerous threat, and we can move on. We've got to fight Hapu next, and I make sure we have Shadow Claw back in our arsenal since I'm reasonably confident that she has a Ghost type. We wouldn't have much to hit it with otherwise. Part of me thought it would be Sandygast, but I was wrong, it's Golurk. We go for Workup and get hit with Hammer Arm before cutting it down with Shadow Claw. Mudsdale is second, we 1-hit that with Return, and then out third we do the same to Gastrodon. Flygon is the last opponent at the bitter end, and we soon drop it with Return for the win. And with that, we're done. We're off to face the Elite Four. But first, we have to battle Gladion, and never an easy opponent. He begins with what might be Crobat, and though we get hit with Acrobatics to sort of solidify that theory, we soon drop it with a Rock Slide. That's definitely a Crobat then. Lucario is second, and we one-shot that with Brick Break. What looks like Silvally is third. We hit a Brick Break and knock away Zoroark's Illusion to take it down for the count. The real Silvally is last. It survives Brick Break and hits multi-attack for minimal damage, but another Brick Break takes it out. We are travelling what equates to Victory Road then, and I suppose I should look to what's ahead. We can fight the Elite Four in any order, so I might as well go through the mental order that I remember them. Mullane shouldn't be an issue. We get plenty of moves that can deal with steel types, and since I'm reasonably sure he has stuff that could paralyse us, that is not going to be an issue either thanks to our ability. Olivia shouldn't be an issue. I had a horrible time versus her in the Growlithe run, but I'm much more confident here. I'm not worried about Acerola, whatever her name is, since we are immune to her primary stab. I think the one we may need to be careful of is Kahili, since I know she has a Hawlucha, but if we take appropriate care, that shouldn't be an issue. Hawlucha will be able to do stab damage to us, and I'm pretty sure it will probably outspeed us as well. How? Well, if we prep right, we should be fine versus him, so let's carry on going. Standing outside the Pokemon League at level 96, here are our stats. Our attack is pretty outstanding, let's be honest. Special defense and speed are both good. I would say that I'd be a little worried about the physical defense, but meh, we've gotten this far with what we've got. I would have liked the bulk up TM, but there's a lot of hoops you've got to jump through to get it in this game, and by that you've got to wait for berries to randomly drop, so not fun. So better stats than normal, but this is a harder game to solo than most other games. Take your guesses on if we can do it at this level or not right now, folks. Let's do this. I'm going left to right with the trainers, and steel type trainer Mullane is up first. I know he has a Klefki, which can always be an irksome opponent, and that is out first. We go for workup. It tries and fails to paralyse us twice with Thunder Wave, and then we smash it down with Bulldoze. That's definitely the AI throwing me a bone. Metagross is second. We one-shot that with Bulldoze, and then, when it comes out in third, we do the same to Alolan Dugtrio. In fourth, Magnezone survives Bulldoze thanks to Sturdy and goes to Screech. While he heals, I work up again, not sure why, and we smack it with Return. It would be a one-shot, but for Sturdy. He fails with Screech, heals it again, and we take it down with Return and Bulldoze. Bisharp goes down to Bulldoze at the end. That was ridiculously easy. Rock Specialist Olivia is second, and she begins with Armaldo. I've replaced Return with Brick Break, and we begin the fight with a workup, while she hits us with an X-Scissor for minimal damage. We then take Armaldo out with Brick Break. Lycanroc is second, and we smash it with a Brick Break to knock it out in one hit before it can go for Continental Crash. Gigalith is third and starts a Sandstorm. We at least know it doesn't have Sturdy, and we drop it with Brick Break. Credilli goes down to Brick Break before Probopass is last. It survives Bulldoze thanks to Sturdy, and then tries to paralyse us with Thunder Wave. We do the same dance we did versus Mullane's Magnezone. She heals and we knock her back onto red health, only surviving thanks to Sturdy, only for her to heal again and I'm out for blood when finally we take Probopass out with Brick Break. 2 down. Ghost Trainer Acerola is third, and we've got Shadow Claw back in our moveset, just to be sure. She starts with Bayonet, and I don't bother with Workup, just cutting it down with Shadow Claw. I am worried about Curse. Second is Frostlass, and that doesn't survive a Shadow Claw either, prompting the arrival of Delmise. We soon Shadow Claw that down for the count, and cue the arrival of Palisand. I obviously got her and Hapu mixed up earlier where this Pokemon was concerned. We Shadow Claw it down. Drifblim at the end doesn't survive Shadow Claw either, but we do get hurt by the aftermath. Flying type trainer Kahili is last, and I do actually lose the first attempt here thanks to powering up on Braviary and then getting hit with Scary Face. Being hit first every turn is bad, and we lose most of our health to Hawlucha. The second attempt goes much better though. We down Braviary with Return before facing off with Hawlucha, and again Return takes it down. Mandibuzz survives Return on red health and confuses us with Flatter. We get locked into a cycle of hitting her with blows she survives, followed by her healing, but I take the chance to sneak a workup in, and we soon drop Mandibuzz. Toucannon is fourth. We drop it with Return before facing off with Oricorio, and to mix it up, I take it out with a Rock Slide. It's like looking at my Ultramoon Bird team here. With what Kahili has, there's a lot of overlap. Anyway, how is last? Elite Four is done. It's just a case of defending our title against the first challenger. Don't worry, I'm not going to do a Blue Oak and lose it in the first 20 seconds of supremacy. Well, I hope not anyway. Anyway, he begins with a Alolan Raichu, and I want to get some workups in. It misses 2 Focus Blasts on us, which massively handy, though after we've done 3 workups, we get hit at the 3rd attempt. We smack it with Return for a knockout. Flareon lands Baby Doll Eyes to lower our attack, but we take it out with Return. Tauros is third and lowers our attack with Intimidate. I go for another workup before we get rocked with Double Edge. We take Tauros out with Return, and we do the same to Crabominable on the next round, watching it crash down. Return takes Primarina out before it can do anything, and last is Noivern. It outspeeds and hits Dragon Pulse, but we drop it with Return to give us a win. And with that, we've entered the Hall of Fame, and we can draw a line under this run and move on to the next one. Well, that was fun. I do like running challenges in these games. I don't want to overdo it, but oh well, it's fun when it happens. I suppose it's a bit like doing Gen 6 in a sense that I usually do like one a year, maybe two a year. I think there's been maybe one occasion of that, but like I said, the 3DS games, just leave it at one per gamer per year. This game is frustrating in places, but I suppose I wouldn't be doing it right if I wasn't getting frustrated. Komala is better than what I'd normally use, but well, like I said, I was challenged to do it. Anyway, thanks for watching folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, call out with a comment, or smash that subscribe button. Help the channel grow. Any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below, or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. Join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge as I see if I can beat Pokemon Fire Red with a team of Swablu and Spearow. It's sure to be fun. I've not got too much more to say folks, other than thanks for joining me. I was getting asked random food related questions not too long back. Since I got asked this, if you want to comment with your favourite bread or biscuit, go ahead. Why not? Anyway, jumping off folks, take care, have a great day and catch you on the next one. See you. Bye bye.